right, guys, we have done it. We are here at the end of Listener Submit It Month. You listeners, I thought this was a pretty good year, actually, for Listener Submit It Month, all things considered.
I had fun.
So let's take a look at the last email we received. And this email is from Dennis. It's a bit of a long one. And he says, "Hello, Horror Movie Night lads. I've been listening since around the time you did the Halloween franchise rankings, which I stumbled upon just looking for Halloween-related stuff on Spotify. I'm a graduate student studying behavior analysis at Salem State University in Salem, Massachusetts. So please take some pride in knowing your voices are consistently spilling out of my open windows as I drive to school in the spookiest place in the country.
God bless.
I have a hearty suggestion. Hack-O-Lantern. I'm not even going to attempt to read the director's name. I won't say much, but it's just stupid enough to be funny and just earnest enough to have some heart. For Kyle, Massacre Video put out the Blu-ray, but it would be right at home along the Vinegar Syndrome catalog. Mm-hmm. One of the leads, High Pike, had a small part in Blade Runner. The movie is also the subject of an episode of People's Court a couple years ago.
Yeah.
As Massacre Video sued someone who was distributing the video without the rights. If you watch it and hate it, don't blame me. I like spookies, so you know my taste is shit. Thanks for keeping my drive to school interesting, Dennis." Dennis, I'm going to be honest with you. This is one of those movies where I loved 2/3 of it. I think it starts great. I think it ends great. And then there's a little bit of a lull in the middle of it. But of all of the movies we watched for Listener Submit It Month, this was the only one that I wrote down on my long list of things I want to put on my DVD shelf one day, because this movie is fucking crazy.
Was this your first time watches, guys?
This is my first, not Scott's.
I didn't know. I thought it was my first until about 20 minutes in when I saw the green carpeted bathroom, which is my background. As soon as I saw that bathroom, I was like, oh my God, I've watched this before.
It wasn't the egregious female frontal nudity.
Yeah, there's so much unnecessary. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But there's 2 reviews that I pulled that aren't critical reviews. So there's not a lot to find about this movie. This movie doesn't even have a wiki page.
Yeah, but no trivia either, which I was really hoping for some juicy bits to share.
No, so while I was trying to find anything about this movie, I stumbled into their Amazon reviews, and the top review was a 4-star review, and I'm not going to read the entire review. I want to read this one sentence because I think this sentence explains why they gave it 4 stars and not 5 stars. I hope that this is the reason. It said, "Surprisingly fun time despite the fact that there's maybe only one jack-o'-lantern in the entire movie. And spoiler alert, it doesn't kill anybody. I was a little disappointed given that the name of the movie and the prominence of a pumpkin on the poster art."
I think there are actually 2 to 3 pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns in this movie. There's the one
I think they weren't paying close enough attention.
There's a truck full of pumpkins.
No, but they wanted a jack-o'-lantern. So
Understood.
So we get the one that Tommy makes as a kid that his mom then smashes, and then afterwards there's one on the counter, and I don't know why I noticed this. I think it's because I was like, didn't you just smash a pumpkin? There's a jack-o'-lantern on their kitchen counter. Yeah. Afterwards, when she and her husband are having an argument before he goes to confront her father, who then murders him because he's a cult leader. The grandfather, grandpa. That's
that grandpa.
Kai Pike. Is that what his name is?
Yeah.
Of Blade Runner, not fame. You know what? So this is the first time I've watched this in quite a while, and I was like, damn, is that Sean from What We Do in the Shadows playing Grandpa? Because he looks and sounds just like that character.
So here's my favorite review. This is the other review I had to pull. I was like, I wonder what the Rotten Tomatoes score is on this. And the Rotten Tomatoes stuff was struggling to load at all. But there was one user review that I was able to read, and I'm glad that if there was only one thing I could see on Rotten Tomatoes, it was this sentence. "If you want to see a movie that has a character who gives you the vibe of if Divine was cast to play Emperor Palpatine, then look no further." And if that is not the best way to describe how High Pike plays this character throughout the entire movie, I don't know what does.
It's kind of a bonkers. It feels almost Italian in nature. How bonkers this is. And
this movie is so ADR that I thought it was like an Italian.
But it's solid ADR. It's actually like in a treated room,
decent.
and it lines up, and it's very weird that they got that right.
They got that right, but at the same time, so the biggest scene of ADR is when they're having a conversation outside of the building where the party is.
Are you talking about the comedy stand-up routine?
No, not that.
Oh
not that.
my God,
get to the comedy
I
stand-up
forgot how
routine.
bad that part was.
This is where the sister and the younger brother are having a conversation. She's trying to convince the brother who's like in the sheriff's department to take her friend Beth on a date. And I mean, beyond the fact that it's like it just feels off enough that you can tell it's ADR. The biggest hint is that they are in some type of wind tunnel because all of the decorations are blowing like crazy behind.
Yeah. Well, that's why they had to ADR.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Before the party. Yep, is in the afternoon.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Before the sex.
Yeah.
Before. Well, no, there was no actual sex. It was when the sister and her boyfriend were almost going to do it, and then Tommy comes in and beats the crap out of him, and then. Is it implied that the mom kills the daughter's boyfriend in the cemetery?
I mean, I'm guessing it's implied that the mom killed everybody, right? It was her and the younger brother, Brian?
No, so Brian
No.
Brian gets possessed.
At the end. Yeah, he gets possessed by the grandfather's spirit right before he dies. So I'm guessing
Grandpa
that
burns a hole in his forehead.
Yeah. Oh man, I love the shitty special effects in this. We can get to that as well. But I think that the implication, like the aha at the end, is that the mom did most of the murdering because she wanted to quote unquote keep her family together.
Yeah.
Stupid logic. She should just kill the fucking grandpa.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like she's killing her, like, or
the long
other
roundabout way.
Yeah.
Well, the long roundabout way, or the other thing that doesn't make any sense is that I think it's implied very, very heavily that Tommy needs to stay a virgin in order for Grandpa to possess him. So why kill the one girl most hungry for that Tommy dick?
You mean the oldest 18-year-old I've ever seen.
Oh, my God. So here's the thing. I don't know if she looks older or Tommy looks older because Tommy could be 40.
Yeah. When they said it'd only been 13 years, I was like, the fuck it has.
Yeah. Let's just call that would make him 24 tops. And that is a rough 24. Also, is this supposed to take place
It's supposed to be his
California?
18th birthday. It's supposed to be his 18th birthday.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is he not fucked
saying.
up for being... Okay, so that means he was fucking 5 in that first scene? There's no way!
That's what I mean. There's no... Like, everybody's cast incorrectly. Grandpa... So
Grandpa's young, too.
Grandpa... So Grandpa... And, man, I'm just going to say this. We won't get into it. I could have lived a happy life without that fucking wedding flashback.
Oh,
that was,
yeah.
Like that,
I think that it implied that Grandpa is Tommy's dad.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it implied.
Okay.
And it was already implied that in dialogue. I didn't need to actually physically watch the flashback.
If they wanted to do a Satanic Panic movie, they should have just said that the devil was his dad. Like, come on.
Right.
Well, there's already there's not even an implication. There's a direct like, yes, there is evil power in this. It's not even like, it's not a slasher. It's a supernatural slasher. So for them to be like doing it in a roundabout way that he's like the son of the devil because of incest, no, we don't need that. Literally just have the devil come to the mom on her wedding night.
Yeah,
easy.
It's very easy. It's very easy.
Less
Nobody
trauma
asks
for
any
everyone
other
involved,
questions.
including the watcher.
Everyone involved. We can still like we could be like, well, maybe the devil ain't so bad. Like Grandpa's bad. Like Grandpa
that was literally the moment where like the first like 20 minutes of this movie, I was like, man, this might be high on the rankings of like a movie I should be showing at Weird Ass Movie
this is
Night.
why we've never done it before, and this is why, because I've thought about it before, but that's the scene that's always stopped me.
But I mean, let's just talk about Grandpa for a little bit because there's a whole lot to talk about with this movie, and a lot of it. What do you got? What do you got over there?
It's a truck full of pumpkins. It's double forbidden pumpkin. Even though there's no pumpkin person, there's a little. You can't.
That's
all for a
sick.
second.
I have Saucy Brewworks boo thing because there are. It's
yeah.
it's my little boo thing.
I like a little boo thing.
Yeah, but it's an
So
imperial pumpkin
we got
ale
some
with
of the pumpkins that came
pumpkin
off that
head
pumpkin
people
truck.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cheers.
So I don't know if this is the ADR as well or what, but like first scene, Grandpa's driving his pumpkin truck to drop off a pumpkin for Tommy, and he honks his horn, and that horn honk is the loudest goddamn horn I've ever heard in my entire life, which I think is an ADR issue.
Mm.
Grandpa has this cackle as he's like talking to Tommy, or no, this is after he talks to the father. The father comes in and challenges him, and he's just like like this insane cackle.
Yeah.
But he talks in such a strange way that when we go into the present day and Tommy is with his girlfriend and he's like, I'd tell you to screw her brains out, but she clearly doesn't have any. And he like bends down and is like, get him back home in one piece. And they drive away, and he clearly says something. But according to the TUBI subtitles, it just says, speaking unintelligible gibberish.
I love when they just can't. AI can't do it. Nobody can do it. No one
there's
can
like
do it.
no clue what what is being said. Tommy's girlfriend. There's a scene where she's in a convenience store, and these characters are talking about her. They're like, yeah, she's got a tattoo on her ass. And it's like, well, she must be fucking weird because she's always hanging out with Tommy Dangle or whatever. And like, you think that these characters come up again in the movie. They get a solid 2 minutes of just, nope. That is the end of it.
I think they're at the party later
well,
on.
That's, I mean,
like, I think
on.
And I guess that's not really a feather in the cap for this movie, because I think the next time you see the only Asian character, she speaks Japanese at a cowboy, and then he says, okay, little lady, or something like that, and she's like, fuck off, and like, whatever. But, you know, this movie has not aged well in any sense of any way
I don't think
at
it
all.
aged well in 1988.
No.
Yeah, the next year it was.
And I can
not
tell
great.
you that the last time I saw a copy of this on VHS available at like a secondhand store, it was $2, which is saying a lot for 2017, maybe. You know, I think that we have now, you know, I don't know. This could always change, but I think that the post-COVID world, like collecting for VHS has kind of leveled off. Like, I don't think that there's so much insane price gouging. Like, in 2019, I sold a VHS copy of not Vampire Weekend, that's a band, Nightmare Weekend for a lot of money. Like,
really,
it was at a convention, and I was like, I put it out, and they were like, what do you want for it? And I just checked it on eBay. I was like, I said whatever the lowest bid was on eBay, and they were like, done.
Crazy.
It's crazy times. But
I mean,
like,
I guess maybe I would spend some money on a Nightmare Weekend VHS, but that's because I like the movie.
yeah, here's what I'm getting at is that this movie was direct to video. I don't think this ever had a theatrical release.
No. Nor do I think it was shot with that intention.
Yeah,
I thought it was shot with that intention. They used good film stock. It wasn't an SOV.
No, but I do think that this was like.
It does look good. The transfer looks pretty good.
The transfer looks really good. This feels like, all right, we're going to shoot this. We're going to do it cheap. We're not going to have any really big names. And hopefully this will do like big numbers when it's on the video shelves at like the local mom and
because
pops.
of the cover.
Yeah,
name
we're
of
going to
the
do a
cover
crazy
were the
cover.
absolute
We're going to
selling
draw
points.
people in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
at moments in time, that dude with the mask looked like he was a walrus, especially running from the party. Like, like with the beard or the tusk things that were
That's
coming
not
out
a
of the
man.
mask.
That was the mom,
Oh,
dude.
that's mom.
Do
well,
not-
whatever.
do
The
not
mask
forget.
choice that they made, but
The mask choice looked like a walrus.
So listen,
Often.
there's some acting choices in this movie.
Mhm, yeah.
I want to talk about a casting choice in this movie. I firmly believe that the actress that they cast to play Tommy's girlfriend literally got cast for being the only woman willing to do a full frontal scene, because she cannot act her way out of a paper bag through any scene where
The
she
one
has
with
to
the tattoo
talk.
on her butt?
Yeah, like it is.
It's not a tattoo though; it's a brand.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not?
Yes.
I mean, maybe in '88, people wouldn't
piece it together.
18-year-old boys wouldn't be like, "That's not a tattoo.
Every morning
that's a
she
brand."
Sharpies her brand, so it looks like a
So it looks
tattoo.
black. Yeah, instead of like burnt flesh. Yeah, I don't know, man. But
And her
you also
nude scene doesn't even make sense because she's alone at home, swimming in her pool, topless underneath a white
a
t-shirt.
long sleeve shirt. I have a note that's like, why would you be swimming with like a thong bikini bottom and a see-through long sleeve top? Like, it's a
to
linen
just
top.
immediately strip the clothes off the second you get inside the house to
take a shower, and then get completely nude a second time. I don't think that she's the only woman that gets completely full frontal in this, though. I think that we also have. Oh, the other person is that woman who is the new bride of Satan.
Oh, that's right. Yes, where she's
Girlfriend
all.
of
But
Satan.
yeah,
Girlfriend from hell.
And here,
Girlfriend
yeah.
from hell of Satan.
This is the thing that always blows my mind, though, with like these types of independent films. Like, I guess there's a hope or a promise. Like, how do you convince people that I'm sure you're not paying very well? That like this is the thing to like, this is the role, baby. This is you're gonna be remembered.
Well,
Like-
so I think, and I know that there's a version of this that exists now, right? Like, there is. It's not like, I mean, horror movies, independent horror movies from the 80s are probably the most prominent example of this because they were so easy to market and get out there.
Mm-hmm.
But like the amount of like independent features that have a promise of like, well, we'll take it to this place and this place and this place, and then like, and maybe not features anymore because that shit's expensive and people who work on them know their worth. Like, people know what they should be paid now.
That's the internet, thankfully.
That's thankfully the internet. So the internet has helped us sift through some of this stuff, but there's hucksters out there. Hucksters isn't appropriate. That's fine.
No, that's a fine word. Yeah.
Yeah. There's hucksters out there that like know how to be like, but this is going to be the thing. Like, this is going to be the thing that like you want to be a part of. And
I agree with you, Kyle, but I also want to say two things about this. One, I think that we are ignoring the fact that we're not giving these women enough agency. Because one, I feel like, think about, I don't know, Cassandra Peterson posing in Hustler. That was very early 80s. And I mean, she was a stripper at 16. I mean, like, we don't know their boundaries and the lifestyle choices that they were fine with. Then I think that we may be being a little bit prudish because, one, there was no internet back then, and so the expectation was, oh, just weirdos that see this direct-to-video movie are gonna see me naked, and it's going to be, like Kyle said, a springboard to something more, or it's like, oh, it's a paycheck. I mean, I don't have any problems with showing my body off.
I guess so.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm glad you said that because I think that is valuable.
I just want to temper the way that, like, I think that we are from a different background because, okay, so this was 88. Let's say that woman was born in 68. Let's just say she was 20 years old when she did this movie. It's a very different time when you're doing this movie in 87 or 88, whenever they were shooting it. I mean, yeah, there's the expectation that people are going to see you naked, and either you don't care because it's a paycheck, or you're cool with it, or it's, like a springboard or something else, or it's just not going to move as far as, like, if you have an OnlyFans now, everybody's going to find out.
That's a good point. I think that it's actually more knowledge about the choice that you make as opposed to this free nature. Just be like, I mean, because a lot of the characterizations of these women are presented as such where they're brainless or they're whatever and they're doing this. It does not mean that the actor is such or the reason that they got into this is such, and I think that's fair.
Let's also temper that with a little negativity or reality.
Yeah,
she may have been a terrible actor. Like, let's say,
I think that there is no denying.
No, there's nothing that can be denied.
Think anybody could act in this movie.
But she is one of the worst actors I've ever seen for a horror movie.
That is a wild boast. That is impossible.
I'm sticking to that. I'm sticking to that because here's the thing: there are bad actors, but you like remember them. Like let's talk about like George Hardy.
We've spent 15 minutes talking about her. We're gonna remember.
But I'm saying like George Hardy in Troll 2 is a bad actor, but it's like there's some passion or flair to it. She literally performs every one of those scenes as if they just gave her the lines of dialogue that second.
They did.
She just delivers so monotone. Like she's just like,
Matt, I think that
I'm gonna be Lady Godiva.
Would you like to be the horse? Yeah. No, I remember the scene. Trust me. I watched it today.
She seems like she thought she was cast in Small Wonder. Like she's delivering the lines like the robot girl in Small Wonder more than a human being in every scene.
Listen, you are really too hard on this girl. She
got branded for this.
That is true. Yeah, they didn't have a makeup team.
Literally just branded her butt cheek. I think that you are completely forgetting how many shitty fucking actors we watch in movies. She's forgettable. Like a really, really bad actor you'll remember and be like, man, they fucking sucked. She's just bad. Like she's not awful. So like let's just agree to disagree on her, and let's talk a little bit about.
A second. I just clicked into her IMDb because I believe her character's name is Amanda, right?
Sure.
We'll say yes. Here's the other roles that she's played. I won't even read the movies because none of them are like noteworthy movies. Blondie, Las Vegas Hooker, Woman in Massage Parlor, Cleavage Woman, Mother Speed, Bimbo, and Bimbo. Those were the character names on her IMDb.
Are you sure that's not the mom? Because like the mom Katrina, I looked at her. I looked at her IMDb and I was like,
that is Katrina. That is Katrina.
Yeah,
that's the mom's.
Now,
okay, then
the mom is trying real hard, and she's definitely getting a Troll 2 vibe from. I'm getting a Troll 2 vibe from her.
Yes, she is giving it all.
I mean, she's actually
giving it all. She's like, I'm not playing Bimbo again for the third time.
Or that
13th mom.
We're gonna say it was this then. I think it was this actress who played her, Nora, because the description of this person's thing is she had an on-again, off-again porn career for the last 15 years and began her career in 1986 when she landed her first adult film role. She was 21 and into the punk scene with blonde, spiky hair.
All right.
So
that's close enough. I mean,
that's probably her then. It's looks like it's Janetta Fine.
That's not a real name.
Great name.
Yep. And she's sitting there holding her IMDb photo is her holding. It looks like a Christmas card. It's her holding her dog who's got Christmas antlers on.
Bro, what?
Adorable.
The internet is such a weird place. IMDb is a weird place.
Because at some point in time, somebody with Pro had to add that to.
Yeah, she sure as fuck didn't put a personal picture of herself as her IMDb picture. Man, so weird. And you know, this is also strange because if you think back,
she also appears in Orgasmo.
Awesome.
Wow.
Fucking awesome.
Huge.
Well, man, I guess you guys just ruined my double feature.
Sorry.
But one's got a pumpkin, one's got a blumpkin. Anyway, so I also want to say just a little something to the people who do not pay for our Patreon, patreon.com/HMN podcast. If you were watching this, you can see that Kyle is topless and Matt is not topless. Kyle was wearing an HMN shirt. Matt is wearing the Sandworm Gym shirt that we most recently released in the spring, and you can find them on our website. So I know that we're terrible about talking about that we have merch.
Yeah, there's some things we're bad at. We're bad at talking about where we're going to be. Convention-wise,
there's that.
We're not great at talking about that you can buy stuff on our website.
We're not even great about talking about the movies that we've been told to discuss.
Yeah,
spent 20 minutes not talking about the plot of this movie. Here's the plot of this movie. Tommy was born on Halloween. He is the son of the devil.
Speed round.
And he is supposed to take his rightful place as the king of hell or something. He breaks free from the curse, quote unquote, that his grandpa put him under by not killing his sister. He then tries to save her from grandpa But it's actually not him in the costume. It's his mom. It's their mom. She gets shot by her own son, who then gets possessed by the spirit of the grandpa and is now in charge of the coven that basically just hangs out in a barn. They don't do much.
And kills someone like every Halloween. Like, that's basically all they do.
Also, how do you hide all those bodies on Halloween?
Maybe everyone turns a blind eye.
We saw the October Boy. Maybe it's or we read the October or Dead Harvest. Maybe it's the October Boy, and there's an urban legend.
Dark
and
Harvest.
Just gets good. Excuse me. What did I say? Urban Harvest? Oh wow! I wish we watched.
No, you said Dead Harvest, but man, if there's a novelization of Dark or of Urban
Which
Harvest,
harvest you want?
Yeah, it's basically like a wheel. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, come and get our fortune, come and get our harvest.
Put down that smartphone and listen to me. I'm Matthew Milligan, professional musician and lifelong Weird Al fan. Each week, I'm joined by professional podcaster and close personal friend Matt Kelly to take a dive off the deep end into the vast career of pop culture icon Weird Al Yankovic on our show, Weird Algorithm. Along with some very special guests from the worlds of music and comedy, we tackle every song, every television appearance, and every bit of sketch comedy Al has produced in chronological order, covering the good old days of My Bologna and Eat It, the fun zone of tacky and white and nerdy, and everything in between. As we go, we're ranking the songs, albums, and music videos in the hopes of creating the ultimate guide to a career bigger than the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota. So the next time you're having one of those days, stuck in a traffic jam, wondering why does this always happen to me, just kick off your sneakers and stick around for a while because we've got it all on Weird Algorithm, available wherever you get your podcasts. And now you know. Was that enough references?
We need to talk about the Halloween party, and then we need to not talk about this movie at all. Okay,
let's talk about the Halloween party.
So
the reason why this is the last movie we're doing
Yes.
for listener submitted, the Halloween party.
There's a random stripper. I have been to a lot of Halloween parties in my time. Never seen a random stripper that people were just like hanging out, listening to smooth jazz, like watching some woman take off her clothes. It wasn't like burlesque, but it also wasn't as lewd as like stripping. It was very odd, but they called her a stripper, so she's a stripper. And then we get we get the stand-up comedy routine, which is insane.
Well,
Dude, I blacked out. I don't remember this.
Here's the thing. This movie has at least 2 moments that can only be described as we need to get as close to 90 minutes as possible. And one of them is Tommy fantasizing that he's in a heavy metal music
Dude, that's
video.
the best part of the movie, though. I forgot to mention it. There's a heavy metal video for the song "Son of the." You're the son of the devil, or you're the devil's son.
Yeah.
And that song kind of rips.
It's great. But it has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, he has a dream because he's listening to his headphones, and it's legitimately just a music video. And I want the ability to shoot lasers from my eyes and turn guitars into tridents. It is such a cool power. I've never thought about that X-Man before.
That's fantastic.
But then also,
Sure.
also to fill time, which, you've never been to a party that has a stripper, but I have 100% been to a party where someone thinks that he's a stand-up comedian doing his tight 5 for the drunk people at the party.
Yep.
That wasn't a tight 5 at all. That was a loose 3.
And I've just looked up on YouTube. It was a 2-minute scene. So just to
Felt like an
confirm,
eternity.
it felt like an eternity. The red light. They tried to point out the street light and was like, "Hey, the red light's going. You have to go. You have to get off the stage now."
It's the part with the turkey getting shot. I'm like, this is a horror. This is a Halloween movie, not a Thanksgiving movie. Also, where does he have like a little handful of down feathers to stuff in his mouth and then spit out? Like, and everybody's like,
he came prepared for this. He was like, hey, listen,
tonight's my night.
I'm so gonna get laid from this tight 5.
Yeah. Dude, I think the good thing is that like if people really, really did boo him out of that alleyway, they could be like, "Hey, it was just my Halloween costume. I was just doing. I'm just
a heckler,
I'm a comedian." Like you could it's very safe. It's a very safe place to be like, "Oh no, it was my costume."
Now you've given Matt his next. This is his costume for this year. He's gonna finally do his tight 5. That's my ska band name, by the way.
I love that for you and your band. The lead singer of that, for my Drag Race fans, that lead singer looked like Utica Queen. Looked dead ass like fucking Utica.
Yep.
Playing as a hair metal guitar player. It was really crazy.
Fantastic.
All right, Scott.
But
how
there's
about
one
you
other thing. There's one other thing about that Halloween party. There's a 60-year-old belly dancer / snake charmer
Yeah. Dude, I had to
This
stop the
party's
movie.
terrible.
And catch up. I had to catch up like the last 20 minutes because I was falling asleep. And the thing that I turned it back onto was the belly dancer. And actually, right after that, I did clock a soundbite for your album here, Scott. Tonight You Belong to Satan.
Yeah.
Was one of those, which I really love.
It's funny because though that's not where I thought that the sound clip could be. It could be, but Mom, I like the taste of blood. Grandpa says it's good for me.
Yes.
I'm telling you, we've talked about this before. I still want there to be an album where it is just
Sound clips and breakdowns.
Just sound clips and breakdowns. No actual
I could write
songs,
that in 2
no
days.
lyrics. Oh my God, it'd be so good. Scott, you've sat down, you've watched Hack-O-Lantern. What are you going to watch after this to salvage the evening?
I'm not going to salvage the evening. I'm going to have fun. Whoever's with me is not going to have fun. I'm going to watch Halloween 5 because it's the same party. Not a good movie, but I still enjoy watching Halloween 5.
Have you ever left a party and returned? That is what Scott's double feature is.
All right, how about you, Kyle?
I'm gonna watch Jacko because it promises the Jack-O-Lantern slasher that we have not had. Plus, it has Linnea Quigley. I think it promises all the things that Hack-O-Lantern thinks that it's going to be, and it is not.
And
it's
is that
still
96? What year is it? 93? I've wanted
Jacko,
to
I
watch it.
think,
It's really hard to find a streaming copy of it last time I tried.
It's 95. It is hard to
okay.
find a streaming copy. I do still have. It's one of like the first sort of like independent DVDs I remember buying. Like sort of like I know nothing about this. It looks like nobody else knows anything about this. I must have it. So I might pick it for the show one of these times. We'll see.
My double feature comes with a story leading up to it.
Oh, nice.
So I had some friends over on Sunday, and we were having a conversation. We were talking about John Carpenter movies, and my friend was like, he always casts that one guy with the crazy name who like always plays a homeless person and everything. And I was like, I can't remember his name. I know he plays a homeless person in Back to the Future, so let me go look up the Back to the Future IMDb page. And the name is Buck Flowers. Is the name of the actor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm scrolling through the Back to the Future cast to try to find Buck Flowers. And I discover something that I've never known. So if you remember Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox jumps in the DeLorean and he ends up in a barn that belongs to the Peabody family. And the father, whose cast name is Pa Peabody, comes out with a gun to see who's in his barn. And as I'm scrolling, I see his IMDb picture.
No!
It is the first time that I realized that the grandfather from Silent Night, Deadly Night plays this man who tries to shoot Michael J. Fox the following year, the year after Silent Night, Deadly Night.
How do you think he got the job in Back to the Future, man? They saw him in Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Well, and that must have pushed up his rate by 1988 because Grandpa in this movie is giving me some serious Silent Night, Deadly Night Grandpa energy, which is exactly what I would watch as my double feature.
Incredible.
That's a really, really good. I like the journey and I like the destination, but I also did not want to mention this movie when we were discussing the actual, half discussing Hack-O-Lantern because I didn't want to give anybody ideas if like I didn't get to pick what I wanted to pick. It was my my insurance policy. But this movie gives a lot of the same energy. Elves.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Although I would probably enjoy watching Elves again. I mean, Elves is a
fun watch. It's icky, but you can't take it seriously level of icky.
Yeah, it's so incredibly over the top, whereas Hack-O-Lantern is over the top, but not as fun. Also, there are a lot of Halloween horror movies. There are not as many Christmas horror movies that I really want to spend
I was gonna say
time with.
there's a fair amount. I would
there's
say
a good
Thanksgiving
amount.
and
I'm just saying
Easter
the ones
are
that
the
I want.
underappreciated ones.
Yeah.
Fair. All right, Scott. Again, I mean, hopefully, I would love to live in a world where by the time this episode comes out, people are like, why are you guys still talking about the writer and actors strike? That thing ended months ago.
Yeah, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Not likely. So until we get news that it's over in the time of our recordings, we are going to not promote anything. At the very minimum, I think the most recent thing I've heard from people is certainly nothing new or recent. But I'm just going to, try to stray away from movies and TV shows in general and talk about something else that you would love to promote instead. Scott, you started us with the double feature, so how about you start us off with this?
Well, thank you, Matt. And I will tell you that I have somehow lost my life because Blasphemous 2 is out on Switch, my all-time favorite Switch game. Blasphemous has a sequel that I have been eagerly awaiting for 2 years, and I downloaded it yesterday, yesterday, and it's just so good. It does so much cool stuff that it's like they were students of what people liked and didn't like in the original, and they added. It's a Metroidvania, it's a Souls-like Metroidvania. So it's a 2D side scroller. It looks a lot like, I don't know, I think it probably owes a lot more to Castlevania Symphony of the Night than anything else in the Castlevania series, but this one has a lot more Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest in it, where there are a lot more side quests, there are a lot more secrets to explore. I mean, I've just begun. I'm at the first significant boss, and it's kicking my ass. It is super fun. The great thing about it is that I'm not feeling like my life is completely consumed. I'm being hyperbolic, but it's a great game where it's hard enough where I'm like, oh, I really want to play more, but at the same time, it's hard enough where I'm like, okay, I've had enough for the night. Like an hour and I'm done. Super fun. It's on. I think it's on all platforms now, so highly recommend. You don't have to play the first one to play the second one, but it's kind of cool to. It does pick up at where the post credits screen or whatever of the original ends, but they do a good job of world building. It's cool. Fantastic game. I will let you know when I finish it in a couple of months because I'm going to take my time. Kyle, you go.
All right.
Enjoy it. I think that if you do like a side scroller interesting enough like that, it's great. But I feel like
I think that this is such a like I said, there's students of the genre, like that subgenre of gaming. I mean, I knew that when I played Blasphemous, but they're also students of what people of the feedback that I got from the original game, and they really like. There are expanded move sets, and there are multiple weapons in this, and there are a lot of side moves, and it really builds upon what was so clever about the first one. It's just a really clever and pretty intuitive game, but it's not intuitive to the point where it's not challenging.
Yeah, very interesting. I don't play it enough games, period. But that sounds very cool. I feel like I would like to choose a game at one of these points in time, but I will never have enough time.
Yeah,
but the strike goes on
so
forever. So, like, I don't know. Carly and I play Trivial Pursuit every once in a while before bed.
Solid. How do you play Trivial Pursuit before bed and not like go to bed mad?
Because sometimes the AI, if the AI wins in this video
you're
game
playing
version
together against AI. Okay, I thought you were playing against
AI
each
and
other.
against each other. And as long as we as a collective front beat the AI, then we're good. But sometimes it doesn't happen, and sometimes it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I've been listening to just sort of going down my to listen playlist that I have. I finally dug into a band called Zulu with an album called A New Tomorrow. And anybody who's sort of listened to this show and has understood my POV as a person or an entertainment viewer is that I'm kind of I can be all over the place, and I enjoy a lot of different things. And this Zulu album is pretty fucking nuts. It goes in a track from hardcore to like a soulful jazz to like grindcore to almost like a pop funk, like to a skit, to like a a spoken word skit, and it's all I I'm fascinated by it. I'm fascinated by the because it's not necessarily a mix per song. It's not like a reggae song mixed with a hardcore song, right? It's literally track to track are these different explorations of music in order to make this full cohesive album. And I'm really fascinated by it because I can't tell you how many albums I've probably listened to and enjoyed. Like, don't get me wrong, I've listened to full albums and enjoyed front to back a very consistent, like, they know what this album is, they know what their sound is like so be it. And Zulu does the complete opposite with the same appreciation effect that I have, which is like, oh my God, like they have compiled and like added a consistency through their album of every little bit of thing that might inspire them, or they know that that's what the output for what they want to say is. And it's just, it's a fascinating album. And actually, I'm almost prematurely speaking on it because I actually want to give it a few more listens, but it's been on my, I've not deleted it from my to listen playlist, right? Like it's still there because I still want to go back and listen to it. I've probably only listened to it like 2 times in a row. And it's always been like while I was driving too. And sometimes like driving is very shower thoughts to me. Like when I'm listening to music, it's very like, that's sort of where I get that. So it's been a nice addition to my longer drives. Definitely check out Zulu's A New Tomorrow.
Love that. I'll keep mine fairly quick. Like I said, I'll always promote a Geekscape podcast before I do my thing. I don't think I've promoted the $2 late fee podcast on here in a bit. Perfectly fitting for Hack-O-Lantern because they are an all 80s podcast. They talk about 80s action movies and horror movies and everything else. They do 2 shows simultaneously on their feed. So what they do is they will review a movie and they will review a song from that particular 80 movie soundtrack. And then usually they will try to track down a cast member from the movie to interview and ask questions about their experience on that film. And they've gotten some pretty quality guests in the past. 2 of the ones I was scrolling through who they had just this last year, and the 2 that jumped out at me that I totally forgot about was that they had Robert Russler, who is the best friend in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Nice.
Who's like, I don't want to sleep in bed with you. And then the other one that they had that I was like, ooh, jealous, is trying to remember how to pronounce this. Jill Scholiner from like Popcorn and The Stepfather and When a Stranger Calls and a bunch of those other movies, like the main star of Popcorn.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And they also simultaneously do a wrestling podcast once a month on their feed called Territorial Marks, which is them and wrestler Paul London picking 2 wrestling matches from the 80s like territory days that they'll do a deep dive into the history leading up to that feud. Cool. So very interesting I think that'll hit a lot of the people who listen to our podcast. Check out $2 late fee. In addition to all that, I just did another Punchline show. I have one more Punchline show that I will be doing merch at. They are doing after all these years of releasing Christmas songs, they are doing a Christmas show on December 15th at the Thunderbird, which should be a ton of fun. If you've never listened to Punchline, check out Punchline. They're great.
If you've never listened to Punchline, what are you doing listening to our show? We talk about them constantly.
We talk about them constantly. And also, just keep your eye out. It might be next year, might be the 20-year anniversary of their biggest album, which might mean that there might be some tours up and down the East Coast and around the country to promote the 20-year anniversary of a particular album. That if you're a fan, you might know exactly which album I'm talking about in Vegalities, but who knows? I've heard things. I've heard conversations that there might be shows in 2024. So get into them, memorize their songs. In the meantime, visit our website, HMN Podcast. Visit our Patreon, patreon.com/HMN Podcast.
Follow us on Instagram.
And we'll be back to picking the movies that we want to watch, starting with Kyle's pick, that I kind of don't want to watch, but that's okay. So we'll be back next
Never heard
week
that
with
before.
more horror movie night.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.